One day, your heart will stop beating. Your body will become still. The world will continue moving without you. And all the stress, overthinking, fear, and emotional pain you carried every day will suddenly mean nothing. Buddhism teaches that life is temporary, fragile, and uncertain. Yet most people live as if they have endless time. They postpone happiness, delay peace, and wait for the right moment to finally live the life they truly want. But the truth is simple and terrifying. You could die at any moment. And once you truly understand this, the way you live begins to change. You stop wasting energy trying to impress people. You stop carrying emotional weight that destroys your peace. Every moment becomes more valuable. Every breath becomes more meaningful. Most people are physically alive, but mentally absent. Their mind is trapped in regret, fear, and endless worry. They rush through life without truly experiencing it. But Buddhism teaches that real life begins when you become fully present in this moment, because this moment is all you truly have. 1. Stop living as if you have endless time. One of the biggest illusions in life is believing there will always be more time. More time to heal, more time to change, more time to follow your dreams, or finally enjoy life. But Buddhism teaches that everything in life is temporary, nothing stays forever, and life can change in a single moment. A normal day can suddenly become a painful memory, and a person you love today may not be here tomorrow. Yet most people continue living as if they have unlimited time. Many people spend years stressing over things that do not truly matter. They waste their energy on toxic people, endless worrying, unnecessary drama, and problems that will not even matter in the future. They keep postponing happiness and peace, believing they will enjoy life later. But later is never guaranteed. Often, people only realize how precious life is after experiencing pain, loss, heartbreak, or regret. Reality suddenly wakes them up, and they begin to understand that time is the most valuable thing they ever had. Buddhism reminds us to become aware of this before it is too late. When you truly understand that your time is limited, your priorities begin to change. You stop wasting energy on things that steal your peace. You become more careful with your time, your relationships, and your attention. You begin appreciating small moments more deeply because you realize that every day of your life is something you will never get back. 2. Presence is the secret to a meaningful life. Most people are not truly living in the present moment. Their body may be here, but their mind is somewhere else. While eating, they are worrying. While resting, they are overthinking. While spending time with loved ones, they are mentally trapped in stress, fear, or regret. Buddhism teaches that this is one of the biggest reasons people feel emotionally exhausted and disconnected from life. Many people spend their entire lives rushing from one thing to another without ever slowing down enough to actually experience life deeply. Days pass quickly, years disappear silently, and before they realize it, life feels empty because they were never truly present enough to enjoy it. Buddhism teaches that peace only exists in the present moment. The past cannot be changed, and the future is never fully guaranteed. Yet most people sacrifice today's peace worrying about things that may never even happen. When you become fully present, life begins to feel different. Small moments become meaningful again. A quiet walk, the sound of rain, a peaceful morning, or a simple conversation can suddenly bring deep peace to your heart. You stop rushing through life and finally begin experiencing it. Presence changes the way you see everything. Instead of constantly chasing happiness somewhere in the future, you begin realizing that life is happening right now. And when your mind finally learns to stay here in the present moment, you begin to feel more calm, grateful, and truly alive. 3. Stop delaying happiness until someday. Many people spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment to finally feel happy. They tell themselves, "I will relax when I become successful, I will enjoy life when I have more money, or I will feel peaceful when everything in my life becomes perfect." But Buddhism teaches that the mind will always create another reason to postpone happiness. Once one problem disappears, another appears. Once one goal is reached, the mind immediately starts chasing something else. This is why so many people stay emotionally exhausted. They keep sacrificing the present moment for a future that never fully arrives. They become so focused on fixing tomorrow that they completely forget to live today. Many people cannot enjoy simple moments anymore because their minds are constantly trapped in pressure, fear, comparison, and overthinking. Even during peaceful moments, they are mentally busy worrying about what is next. Slowly, life begins to feel empty because they are never truly present enough to experience it. Buddhism teaches that real peace does not come from finally controlling everything around you. Real peace comes from learning how to appreciate life as it is right now. Not because life is perfect, but because this moment is all you truly have. Some people spend years chasing success while ignoring their health, peace, relationships, and inner happiness. Then one day they realize they achieved many things, but never truly enjoyed their life along the way. They were always waiting for another moment to finally feel complete. But life is happening now. The people you love are here now. Your opportunities exist now. Your moments of peace exist now. If you keep postponing happiness, you may eventually reach the end of life realizing you spent most of it mentally absent and emotionally disconnected from the present moment. When you stop delaying your happiness, your entire perspective begins to change. You begin enjoying simple things again. You laugh more deeply. You rest without guilt. You stop putting so much pressure on yourself to constantly prove something to the world. Instead of rushing through life, you begin experiencing it with more gratitude and awareness. Buddhism reminds us that happiness is not hiding somewhere in the future. Peace begins the moment you stop waiting for life to become perfect and finally allow yourself to fully live the life you already have. 4. Let go of what does not truly matter. Many people are mentally exhausted not because life is impossible, but because they are carrying too much emotionally. They hold on to old pain, toxic memories, regret, anger, guilt, and the opinions of people who do not truly care about them. Buddhism teaches that attachment is one of the biggest causes of suffering. The more tightly you hold on to things that destroy your peace, the heavier your mind becomes. Some people spend years replaying painful moments in their head. They continue thinking about old betrayals, arguments, disappointments, and mistakes that already happened long ago. Even when life gives them new opportunities to grow, their mind stays trapped in the past. Slowly, this emotional weight drains their happiness, their energy, and their ability to enjoy the present moment. Other people become emotionally attached to things they cannot control. They constantly worry about what others think about them. They try to please everyone, avoid judgment, and prove their worth to people who may never truly appreciate them. But the more they seek validation from others, the more disconnected they become from themselves. Buddhism teaches that peace begins the moment you stop giving unnecessary things so much power over your mind. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every person deserves unlimited access to your energy. When you truly understand how short life is, many things suddenly stop feeling important. You realize that wasting your peace on constant negativity is slowly stealing your life away. The anger you carry hurts you more than the person who caused it. The need to always explain yourself only drains your energy. The more emotionally attached you become to every problem, the more mentally exhausted you feel. Letting go does not mean you stop caring about life. It means you stop destroying yourself over things that were never worth losing your peace for. It means accepting that some people will misunderstand you, some situations will not go your way, and some chapters of your life must end for your spirit to grow. Many people hold on to pain because it feels familiar. Even suffering becomes comfortable after a while. But Buddhism teaches that healing begins when you finally allow yourself to release what no longer serves your soul. When you let go of emotional weight, your mind becomes lighter. You stop overthinking every small thing. You stop reacting emotionally to everything around you. Instead of constantly fighting life, you begin flowing with it more peacefully. You start protecting your inner peace more seriously. You become careful about who you give your time, energy, and attention to. You begin understanding that your mental peace is far more valuable than winning arguments, chasing approval, or holding on to relationships that constantly drain you. At the end of life, most of the things people stress about today will not matter at all. The only thing that will truly matter is whether you lived with peace inside your heart, or spent your whole life emotionally trapped by things you should have released long ago. 5. Live according to your true purpose. Many people spend most of their lives trying to become the version of themselves that other people expect them to be. They follow paths that do not truly make them happy. They hide their real feelings, ignore their dreams, and constantly seek approval from family, society, or the people around them. Over time, they become disconnected from themselves because they are living for everyone except their own soul. Buddhism teaches that a meaningful life begins with self-awareness. If you do not truly understand yourself, you can easily spend years chasing things that never bring real peace. Many people think success, money, status, or attention will finally make them feel complete. But even after achieving those things, they still feel empty inside because they built their life around external validation instead of inner purpose. Some people stay in environments that destroy their peace simply because they fear change. Others continue living small because they are afraid of being judged or rejected. They silence their true personality just to fit into places where they were never truly meant to belong. Slowly, this creates emotional exhaustion because pretending to be someone else is mentally draining. Buddhism reminds us that life is temporary and your time here is limited. So why spend your entire life becoming a stranger to yourself? Why waste years trying to impress people who may never truly understand you? One day, you may look back and realize you spent too much time chasing approval and not enough time building a life that actually felt meaningful to your heart. Living according to your true purpose does not always mean doing something huge or famous. Purpose is often much simpler than people think. Sometimes purpose means becoming emotionally free. Sometimes it means helping others, protecting your peace, growing spiritually, or simply living honestly without constantly pretending. A person who lives with purpose no longer wastes all their energy comparing themselves to others. They stop chasing every trend, every opinion, and every form of validation. Instead, they begin focusing on what truly matters to them. They become more intentional with their time, their attention, and the kind of life they want to create. Many people are busy, but not fulfilled. They wake up every day repeating the same cycle without asking themselves if they are truly happy. They survive, but they do not feel alive. Buddhism teaches that awareness changes this. The moment you become honest with yourself, your life begins to change. When you remember that your time on earth is limited, fake priorities slowly disappear. You stop obsessing over shallow things. You stop needing everyone to approve of your choices. You realize that peace is more important than constantly proving yourself to the world. You begin asking deeper questions. What kind of person do I truly want to become? What actually matters to me? What kind of life would make me feel peaceful at the end of my journey? These questions awaken something powerful inside you. The truth is, many people wait too long to become themselves. They delay their happiness, their growth, and their purpose because they believe there will always be more time. But Buddhism teaches that tomorrow is never guaranteed. The life you keep postponing may never arrive if you continue waiting for the perfect moment. So live honestly now, protect your peace now, follow what feels meaningful to your soul now. Because one of the saddest feelings in life is realizing too late that you spent your whole life following the expectations of others while ignoring the voice inside yourself. 6. Protect your mind from constant noise. Modern life has made it very difficult for people to hear themselves clearly. Every day, the mind is attacked by endless noise. Notifications, social media, arguments, opinions, bad news, comparison, pressure, and constant distractions slowly fill the mind until there is almost no silence left inside. Most people wake up and immediately begin consuming noise. Before they even fully experience the morning, their attention is already being pulled in different directions. And after living like this for years, many people no longer feel connected to themselves. Buddhism teaches that a distracted mind becomes a suffering mind. When your attention is constantly controlled by the outside world, your inner peace slowly disappears. You begin living reactively instead of consciously. Your emotions become unstable, your thoughts become heavy, and your spirit becomes exhausted. Many people think they are tired because life is hard, but often they are tired because their mind never gets a moment of real rest. Most people do not even realize how overstimulated they have become. Silence feels uncomfortable to them because they are no longer used to being alone with their own thoughts. The moment they feel boredom, sadness, or emptiness, they immediately reach for distraction. They scroll endlessly, consume more entertainment, or search for external stimulation to avoid facing what is happening inside themselves. But Buddhism teaches that running away from your inner world only creates deeper suffering. Peace does not come from constant distraction. Peace comes from understanding your mind instead of escaping from it. Many people are physically alive but mentally absent because their attention is constantly stolen. They cannot fully enjoy simple moments anymore because their mind is always overloaded. Even while spending time with loved ones, they are distracted. Even during peaceful moments, their thoughts are racing somewhere else. Slowly, life begins to lose its depth because the mind never becomes still enough to truly experience it. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you possess. Wherever your attention goes, your life energy follows. If your attention is constantly trapped in negativity, comparison, fear, and unnecessary drama, your mind slowly becomes chaotic. But if you protect your attention and become more intentional about what you allow into your mind, your inner world begins to change. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness helps you regain control over your attention. It teaches you how to observe your thoughts without becoming controlled by them. Most people believe they must react to every thought and emotion that appears in their mind. But not every thought deserves your attention. Not every fear is truth. Not every emotion should control your actions. Sometimes the mind creates suffering that does not even exist in reality. A person can destroy their peace simply by overthinking situations that may never happen. They replay conversations in their head, imagine rejection, fear the future, and mentally create pain long before anything actually happens. This is why Buddhism teaches awareness. The moment you become aware of your thoughts instead of blindly following them, your mind begins to calm down. Modern society constantly encourages distraction because distracted people rarely become deeply aware of themselves. People are taught to stay busy all the time, to constantly consume, to constantly compare themselves to others, to constantly chase more, but endless stimulation often creates emotional emptiness rather than peace. Some people spend hours every day consuming the lives of strangers online while completely neglecting their own inner life. They compare their appearance, success, relationships, and lifestyle to everyone around them. Over time, this creates insecurity, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. The mind becomes addicted to comparison and slowly loses gratitude for the life it already has. Buddhism teaches that comparison steals inner peace because it keeps your mind focused on what you lack instead of what you already possess. A peaceful person is not someone who has everything. A peaceful person is someone who learns how to appreciate life without constantly measuring themselves against others. Protecting your mind also means protecting your environment. The people around you affect your inner world more than you realize. Constant negativity, gossip, drama, and emotionally draining relationships slowly poison the mind. Some people lose their peace simply because they continue giving toxic energy unlimited access to their life. Buddhism teaches compassion, but it also teaches awareness. You are not required to carry everyone's chaos inside your own mind. You are not required to stay connected to environments that constantly destroy your peace. Sometimes protecting your energy is necessary for your emotional and spiritual health. Many people feel guilty for choosing peace over constant emotional exhaustion. They feel guilty for creating boundaries, spending time alone, or disconnecting from negativity. But protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. A mind that is constantly overwhelmed cannot experience life deeply. It only survives from one stressful moment to another. One of the most powerful things you can do for your mental health is learn how to sit in silence again. Real silence. Not silence filled with distraction, but silence where you simply observe your thoughts, your emotions, and your inner state without running away. At first, silence may feel uncomfortable because many people have spent years avoiding themselves, but eventually silence becomes healing. In silence, you begin understanding yourself more clearly. You notice the fears you have been carrying. You notice the emotional patterns controlling your life. You notice how much unnecessary noise has been living inside your mind. And slowly, through awareness, the mind becomes lighter. Buddhism teaches meditation not because meditation magically removes all problems, but because it trains the mind to become less reactive. A calm mind sees life differently. Instead of reacting emotionally to every situation, you begin responding with more awareness and peace. You stop allowing every opinion, every inconvenience, and every stressful moment to control your emotional state. Most people lose their peace too easily because they never learned how to protect their mind. One negative comment ruins their day. One stressful situation destroys their inner calm. One difficult person completely changes their mood. But when you begin practicing mindfulness and awareness, you stop giving everything outside you so much power over your inner world. You begin realizing that peace is something you must actively protect. This also means being careful about what you feed your mind daily. Just like unhealthy food affects the body, unhealthy mental input affects the mind. Constant negativity, fear-based content, endless arguments, and toxic information slowly create emotional heaviness inside you. A peaceful mind is built intentionally. It is built through awareness, silence, mindfulness, gratitude, and emotional discipline. It is built by learning when to disconnect from noise and reconnect with yourself. Many people are searching for peace in external things while ignoring the condition of their own mind. But Buddhism teaches that peace does not come from controlling the outside world. Peace comes from creating balance within yourself. When your mind becomes calmer, life itself begins to feel different. You stop rushing constantly. You stop reacting emotionally to every little thing. You begin appreciating simple moments again. Your relationships improve because you become more emotionally present. Your thoughts become clearer because your mind is no longer drowning in endless noise. You begin experiencing life instead of constantly escaping from it. And perhaps most importantly, you begin reconnecting with yourself again. Beneath all the stress, distraction, fear, and noise, there is still a quieter version of you that wants peace. A version of you that is tired of emotional exhaustion. A version of you that simply wants to breathe deeply, live honestly, and experience life without constantly feeling mentally overwhelmed. Buddhism reminds us that this peace already exists within us, but the noise of the world often makes it difficult to hear. That is why protecting your mind is one of the most important things you can do in life. Because in a world full of endless noise, a calm mind becomes a rare and powerful thing. 7. Live so fully that death does not frighten you. Most people are not truly afraid of death itself. Deep down, they are afraid of reaching the end of life and realizing they never truly lived. They fear unfinished dreams, wasted years, missed moments, and the painful realization that they spent most of their life trapped inside stress, fear, overthinking, and emotional exhaustion. Buddhism teaches that death is not the enemy. The real tragedy is living your entire life asleep and only waking up when it is already too late. Many people move through life on autopilot. They wake up, repeat the same routines, carry the same worries, and postpone their happiness day after day. They tell themselves they will finally live later. Later when life becomes easier. Later when they become more successful. Later when they feel more confident. But later is never guaranteed. Life can change in a single moment. And Buddhism constantly reminds us of this truth. Every day people leave this world unexpectedly. Some had plans for tomorrow. Some thought they still had years left. Some believed there would always be more time to heal, love, forgive, grow, or enjoy life. But death does not ask for permission before arriving. It simply comes. And this truth is not meant to create fear. It is meant to awaken you. When you truly accept that your time is limited, your entire perspective on life begins to change. Small things stop feeling so important. You stop wasting your peace trying to impress people who do not truly care about you. You stop allowing every opinion, every insult, and every temporary problem to control your emotional state. You begin understanding that life is far too short to spend every day mentally miserable. Buddhism teaches that awareness of death can actually help you live more peacefully. Because when you remember that life is temporary, you stop taking moments for granted. You begin appreciating simple things more deeply. A quiet morning feels meaningful. A conversation with someone you love feels valuable. Even ordinary moments begin to feel sacred because you realize nothing lasts forever. Many people spend their lives chasing things that never truly fulfill them. They sacrifice their peace for status, attention, money, or validation. They become so busy trying to prove themselves that they completely forget to enjoy their own existence. Then one day, life forces them to slow down through loss, illness, heartbreak, or regret, and suddenly they realize how much time they wasted worrying about things that did not truly matter. Buddhism teaches that true peace comes from living consciously, not rushing through life half asleep, but fully experiencing the present moment while you still can. Most people are physically alive, but mentally trapped somewhere else. Their mind is always replaying the past or fearing the future. Because of this, they miss the life happening right in front of them. Living fully means becoming present enough to actually experience your life instead of constantly escaping from it. It means feeling gratitude for ordinary moments instead of always chasing something more. It means protecting your peace instead of constantly feeding your mind stress and negativity. It means allowing yourself to laugh deeply, rest peacefully, and appreciate life before time quietly takes those moments away. Many people believe living fully means constantly seeking excitement, pleasure, or achievement. But Buddhism teaches something deeper. Living fully means becoming aware. A person can have wealth, success, and endless distractions, but still feel spiritually empty inside. Another person may live simply yet feel deeply alive because they are fully present in their own existence. Some people spend years emotionally disconnected from themselves. They become so distracted by noise, pressure, and comparison that they lose touch with what truly matters. They stop listening to their soul. They ignore their inner peace. They continue living in environments that destroy their spirit simply because change feels uncomfortable. But one day, every person will eventually face the truth that their time here is limited. And when that realization becomes real, many things suddenly lose their importance. Arguments feel meaningless. Ego becomes less important. The need to constantly prove yourself begins to fade. You stop caring so much about being accepted by everyone because you finally understand that your peace is more valuable than endless approval. Buddhism teaches impermanence because understanding impermanence changes the way you live. It reminds you that every moment is temporary. The people around you are temporary. Your struggles are temporary. Even your body is temporary. Everything is constantly changing. This truth can feel painful at first, but it can also become deeply freeing. Because once you accept that nothing lasts forever, you stop clinging so tightly to everything. You stop trying to control every outcome. You stop wasting your life resisting change. Instead, you begin flowing with life more peacefully. Many people suffer because they keep holding on to versions of life that no longer exist. They hold on to old relationships, old pain, old identities, and old expectations. But life is always changing, and Buddhism teaches that peace comes from learning how to accept this reality instead of constantly fighting against it. Living fully also means becoming emotionally honest with yourself. Many people hide their true feelings for years. They silence their dreams. They suppress their emotions. They pretend to be happy while secretly feeling empty inside. They become so focused on surviving that they forget to ask themselves if they are truly alive. But deep down, the soul always knows when something is missing. Some people ignore this feeling for decades because they are afraid of change, afraid of judgment, afraid of uncertainty. But one of the saddest things in life is reaching the end and realizing you spent most of your years disconnected from your true self. Buddhism teaches self-awareness because awareness allows you to wake up before life passes you by. When you become deeply aware of death, you stop postponing your life. You stop waiting for permission to become yourself. You stop believing happiness only exists somewhere in the future. Instead, you begin asking more important questions. Am I truly living? Am I protecting my peace? Am I spending my time wisely? Am I becoming the person I truly want to be? Or am I wasting my life trapped in fear, distraction, and emotional exhaustion? These questions awaken something powerful inside you. Many people live as if they will have another chance later, another chance to follow their dreams, another chance to spend time with loved ones, another chance to heal themselves emotionally. But Buddhism reminds us that tomorrow is never promised. This moment is your life, not next year, not someday, now. And when you truly understand this, even ordinary moments begin to feel precious. You stop rushing through conversations. You stop taking people for granted. You stop ignoring your own mental and emotional health. You stop wasting your life constantly chasing things that bring temporary pleasure but no lasting peace. Instead, you begin slowing down enough to actually feel life again. You notice the beauty in silence. You appreciate nature more deeply. You become grateful for simple moments that once felt ordinary. You begin understanding that peace was never hiding somewhere far away. It was always available in the present moment, but your distracted mind could not fully see it. Buddhism also teaches compassion, because when you understand the fragility of life, you begin treating people differently. You realize that everyone around you is fighting invisible battles. Everyone is aging. Everyone is carrying pain, fear, confusion, and uncertainty in some form. This awareness softens the heart. You become less interested in conflict and more interested in peace, less interested in ego and more interested in connection. You stop wasting energy on hatred because you realize how short and fragile life truly is. Living fully does not mean your life becomes perfect. Buddhism never promises a life without pain. Difficulties will still exist. Loss will still exist. Change will still exist. But awareness changes the way you experience these things. A peaceful person still experiences pain, but they do not allow pain to completely destroy their spirit. They understand that emotions come and go like waves. They stop resisting every difficult moment and instead learn how to move through life with more acceptance and balance. Many people fear death because they spent their entire life avoiding life itself. They avoided vulnerability, truth, growth, healing, and presence. They stayed emotionally asleep because waking up felt uncomfortable. But when you begin living consciously, death slowly loses some of its power over you, because deep down you know you truly lived. You loved sincerely. You appreciated moments deeply. You protected your peace. You became more present. You stopped wasting years trapped inside meaningless distractions. And this creates a different kind of peace inside the heart. At the end of life, people rarely regret not working more or not impressing enough people. Most regrets are much deeper than that. People regret not spending enough time with loved ones. They regret staying trapped in fear. They regret postponing happiness. They regret not fully experiencing life while they had the chance. Buddhism teaches that wisdom is waking up before regret arrives. Do not wait until pain forces you to appreciate life. Do not wait until loss teaches you the value of presence. Do not wait until years disappear before realizing how precious your time truly is. Life is happening right now. The people you love are here right now. Your opportunities exist right now. Your moments of peace exist right now. And one day, all of this will become memory. This is why Buddhism teaches mindfulness so deeply, because mindfulness brings you back to life itself. It pulls you out of endless mental noise and reminds you to actually experience your existence while you still can. The truth is, nobody knows how much time they have left. Some people have decades. Some people have years. Some people have far less than they imagine. But instead of creating fear, this truth should create clarity. It should remind you to stop wasting your life emotionally disconnected from the present moment. Tell people you love them. Protect your mental peace. Forgive yourself for the past. Stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. Spend more time truly living instead of endlessly worrying. Because your life is not meant to be postponed forever. One day your journey here will end, your body will grow still, your name will slowly become memory, and the world will continue moving forward. But before that day comes, make sure you truly lived. Not perfectly, not fearlessly, but consciously. Because the greatest tragedy is not death itself. The greatest tragedy is reaching the end of life and realizing you were never fully alive while you had the chance. 8. Stop wasting your life trying to please everyone. One of the biggest reasons people lose themselves is because they spend too much of their life trying to be accepted by everyone around them. From a young age, many people are taught to seek approval. They learn to shape their personality around what others expect from them. They hide parts of themselves to avoid judgment. They stay quiet to avoid conflict. They sacrifice their own peace just to keep other people comfortable. But Buddhism teaches that attachment to approval creates suffering. The moment your happiness depends on how other people see you, your peace becomes fragile. You begin living according to opinions instead of truth. You stop listening to your own soul because you become too busy trying to satisfy everyone else. Many people are emotionally exhausted because they are constantly performing. They pretend to be stronger than they really feel. They pretend to be happier than they really are. They smile while secretly carrying stress, sadness, pressure, and emptiness inside. Over time, this becomes mentally draining because the human spirit was never meant to live behind a mask forever. Some people spend years saying yes to things they do not truly want. They stay in toxic relationships because they fear disappointing others. They follow career paths that make them miserable because society tells them that success looks a certain way. They continue carrying emotional burdens simply because they are afraid of being misunderstood. But one day, many people realize something painful. The people they sacrificed their peace for were never fully satisfied anyway. No matter how kind you are, some people will still judge you. No matter how much you give, some people will still misunderstand you. No matter how hard you try, you will never control everyone's opinion of you. And Buddhism teaches that the moment you stop chasing universal approval, your mind begins to feel lighter. Many people waste years trying to avoid criticism. They overthink every decision because they fear what others may think. They become trapped inside anxiety because they constantly need validation before trusting themselves. Slowly, this disconnects them from their own inner wisdom. But Buddhism teaches that peace comes from within, not from public approval. The truth is, people's opinions constantly change. Someone may praise you today and criticize you tomorrow. If your emotional state depends on external validation, your peace will always remain unstable. You will constantly feel controlled by the reactions of others. This is why so many people feel mentally exhausted in modern life. Social media has made comparison and approval addiction even stronger. Many people spend hours every day trying to appear successful, attractive, happy, or important in front of others. They carefully build an image while neglecting their inner peace. They become obsessed with being liked, noticed, and accepted. But deep inside, many of them still feel empty. Because attention is not the same as peace, validation is not the same as self-worth, and popularity is not the same as inner happiness. Buddhism teaches that the more attached you become to outside approval, the more disconnected you become from yourself. You stop asking what truly makes you peaceful, and instead begin asking what will make others approve of you. This creates a dangerous way of living because your identity becomes dependent on the outside world. A single criticism ruins your mood. A rejection destroys your confidence. An unfollow, insult, or negative opinion suddenly feels deeply personal. But when you begin detaching from the need for constant approval, something powerful happens inside you. You become emotionally freer. You stop needing everyone to agree with your choices before trusting yourself. You stop over-explaining your life to people who were never going to understand your journey anyway. Many people are afraid of disappointing others, but they continue disappointing themselves every single day. They ignore their own emotional needs. They silence their real feelings. They abandon their dreams. They tolerate disrespect just to avoid conflict. And over time, this creates deep inner frustration because the soul knows when it is being neglected. Buddhism teaches balance and compassion, but it does not teach self-abandonment. Being kind does not mean destroying your own peace for the comfort of others. Caring about people does not mean sacrificing your emotional well-being until you feel completely empty inside. Sometimes protecting your peace requires disappointing people. This is difficult for many individuals because they have spent their entire life believing their worth comes from being useful, pleasing, agreeable, or constantly available. But real peace begins when you stop measuring your value based on how satisfied other people are with you. Your worth is not determined by how many people approve of your choices. Your worth is not determined by how much you sacrifice yourself for others. And your peace should never depend entirely on external validation. Many people fear being alone, so they continue surrounding themselves with relationships that quietly destroy their spirit. They tolerate disrespect because they fear rejection more than emotional suffering. But Buddhism teaches that attachment to unhealthy connections creates suffering that slowly consumes the mind. Sometimes solitude is healthier than forced connection. A peaceful person understands that not everyone is meant to stay in their life forever. Some people are temporary lessons, not permanent companions. And when you become deeply aware of this, you stop chasing people who constantly disturb your peace. You begin choosing relationships more carefully. You become protective of your energy. You stop allowing everyone unlimited access to your emotional world. And this changes your life completely. Many people think boundaries are selfish because they were taught to constantly please others. But Buddhism teaches awareness, and awareness helps you recognize what is nourishing your spirit and what is slowly destroying it. Not every environment is healthy for your mind. Not every relationship deserves permanent access to your life. Not every opinion deserves emotional space inside your head. When you stop trying to please everyone, you finally have enough energy to reconnect with yourself again. You begin discovering who you truly are beneath all the pressure and expectations. You realize how much of your stress came from constantly trying to manage the emotions and opinions of other people. And slowly, your life becomes simpler. You stop needing to constantly prove yourself. You stop competing for approval. You stop exhausting yourself trying to maintain unrealistic expectations. Instead, you begin focusing on peace, authenticity, and emotional honesty. Buddhism teaches that inner freedom begins when attachment begins to loosen. And one of the strongest attachments many people carry is the attachment to being liked by everyone. But the truth is, no human being is universally accepted. Even the wisest people in history were criticized. Even kind people are misunderstood. Even peaceful people are judged. So if criticism is unavoidable, why spend your entire life fearing it? Many people stay silent because they fear judgment. Many people never chase their dreams because they fear failure. Many people remain trapped in unhappy lives because they fear what others may think if they change. But one day, life will end. And at the end of your journey, the opinions of strangers will not matter. What will matter is whether you lived honestly, whether you protected your peace, whether you stayed true to yourself, whether you allowed fear of judgment to control your entire existence. Buddhism constantly reminds us that life is temporary. This means your time and energy are incredibly valuable. Every moment spent pretending to be someone else is time you can never get back. Every year spent abandoning your own happiness to satisfy everyone around you is a year of your life that disappears forever. When you deeply understand this, your mindset changes. You stop trying to win everyone's approval. You stop emotionally collapsing every time someone misunderstands you. You stop wasting years chasing validation that never truly satisfies the soul. Instead, you begin living more honestly. You speak more truthfully. You protect your peace more seriously. You choose relationships more carefully. You spend more time understanding yourself instead of constantly performing for the world. And for the first time in a long time, you begin feeling emotionally free. This does not mean you become cold or selfish. Buddhism teaches compassion and kindness. But true compassion should include yourself too. You cannot constantly abandon your own emotional health while trying to save everyone else. A peaceful life requires emotional boundaries, self-awareness, and the courage to disappoint people when necessary. Because if you spend your entire life trying to make everyone happy, you may eventually realize you lost yourself completely in the process. At the end of life, nobody will reward you for destroying your peace just to keep others comfortable. Nobody will give you back the years you wasted pretending to be someone you were not. That is why Buddhism teaches awareness so deeply. Awareness helps you recognize when you are living according to truth and when you are simply performing for approval. And once you stop wasting your life trying to please everyone, something beautiful begins to happen. your mind becomes quieter, your heart becomes lighter, your relationships become more genuine, and your life finally begins to feel like your own again. 9. Learn to enjoy life before life passes you by. Many people spend their entire lives preparing to live, but never truly living. They are always waiting for the perfect moment to finally relax, feel peaceful, follow their dreams, or enjoy the life they already have. They believe happiness exists somewhere in the future, so they continue postponing joy while time quietly disappears in the background. Buddhism teaches that this is one of the greatest illusions of the human mind. The mind constantly says, "I will be happy later. Later when life becomes easier. Later when I have more money. Later when I finally fix everything. Later when stress disappears." But the problem is that later never truly arrives the way people imagine it. Once one problem ends, another appears. Once one goal is reached, the mind creates another destination to chase. Because of this, many people unknowingly spend their entire life emotionally disconnected from the present moment. They survive, but they do not truly live. Many people wake up every morning already carrying stress before the day even begins. Their mind is constantly racing. They rush through meals, conversations, and experiences without fully feeling them. Even during peaceful moments, they are mentally trapped inside worry, pressure, or overthinking. Slowly, life becomes repetitive and emotionally empty because they are never fully present enough to experience it deeply. Buddhism teaches that life was not meant to be rushed through unconsciously. Life is not just about surviving responsibilities, chasing achievements, or constantly worrying about the future. Real living begins when awareness enters the present moment. Most people think they have plenty of time left. They assume there will always be another opportunity to enjoy life later. But time moves quietly. Days become months, months become years, and eventually many people look back with regret because they spent too much of their life mentally absent. Some people become so focused on productivity and pressure that they forget how to enjoy simple moments. They no longer appreciate peaceful mornings, meaningful conversations, laughter, silence, nature, or rest. Their mind becomes addicted to stress and constant mental stimulation. But Buddhism reminds us that some of the most meaningful parts of life are often the simplest. A calm evening, a deep breath after emotional chaos, the sound of rain, time spent with people you love, a peaceful walk with no distractions, a moment where your mind finally feels still. These moments may seem ordinary now, but one day they may become the memories you miss the most. Many people do not realize the value of a moment until it becomes memory. This is why Buddhism teaches mindfulness so deeply. Mindfulness brings you back to life itself. It teaches you to stop living mechanically and start experiencing life consciously. Because when the mind is constantly distracted, even beautiful moments lose their meaning. Some people spend years trapped in routines that slowly drain their spirit. They work endlessly without rest. They carry emotional stress every single day. They postpone happiness because they believe peace must be earned after suffering long enough. But life is not guaranteed to wait for you. One day, your body will become older. One day, certain opportunities will disappear. One day, some people you love may no longer be here. One day, your current chapter of life will quietly become part of the past. And when that realization truly reaches the heart, many things suddenly begin to change. You stop treating time casually. You stop wasting entire years emotionally disconnected from your own existence. You stop believing life begins someday in the future. Instead, you begin understanding that life is happening now. Right now is your life. This moment is your life, not later, not eventually. Now, Many people think enjoying life means escaping responsibility or constantly seeking pleasure, but Buddhism teaches something much deeper than temporary entertainment. True enjoyment comes from presence, gratitude, awareness, and inner peace. A person can travel the world and still feel empty because their mind is restless. Another person may sit quietly under the sky and feel deeply alive because they are fully present. This is why inner peace matters more than external excitement. Without awareness, people can spend their whole life chasing stimulation while secretly feeling emotionally numb inside. They constantly need distractions because silence feels uncomfortable. But when the mind becomes calmer, even ordinary experiences begin to feel meaningful again. You begin noticing beauty that was always there. You begin appreciating life instead of constantly escaping from it. You begin feeling grateful for things you once ignored. Buddhism teaches gratitude because gratitude transforms the way you experience existence. A grateful person enjoys life more deeply because they stop focusing only on what is missing. Instead, they become aware of what is already here. Many people destroy their own happiness because they constantly compare their life to others. Social media has made this even worse. People compare their appearance, success, money, relationships, and lifestyle to strangers every day. Slowly, this creates dissatisfaction with their own life. But comparison steals presence. The more you compare your life to others, the less you appreciate your own journey. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when the mind constantly desires a different reality instead of fully experiencing the present one. A peaceful person understands that life is not a competition. You do not need to live exactly like everyone else to have a meaningful existence. Some of the happiest moments in life are not expensive or impressive. They are quiet, honest, and deeply human. Sitting peacefully with someone you love, laughing sincerely, feeling emotionally calm after years of inner chaos, watching the sunset without rushing, feeling connected to yourself again after a long period of emotional exhaustion. But many people are too distracted to notice these moments while they are happening. They are physically present but mentally somewhere else, always worrying, always chasing, always preparing for the future. And because of this, they miss the life unfolding directly in front of them. Buddhism teaches that attachment to constant achievement can also become a form of suffering. Society teaches people that their worth depends on how productive, successful, or impressive they appear. So many individuals become obsessed with constantly doing more, proving more, and achieving more. But eventually, this endless pressure begins destroying inner peace. People become emotionally disconnected from themselves because their entire identity becomes attached to performance. They forget how to rest without guilt. They forget how to enjoy simple moments because they always feel they should be doing something else. But your life is not a machine. You were not born only to stress, work endlessly, and emotionally exhaust yourself every single day. Buddhism teaches balance. It teaches awareness. It teaches that peace matters too. Rest matters. Silence matters. Presence matters. Joy matters. Many people reach old age carrying deep regret because they spent most of their life emotionally unavailable to themselves. They were always too busy, too distracted, too worried, or too disconnected to truly enjoy their own existence. And perhaps one of the saddest realizations in life is understanding too late that you were alive during beautiful moments but never fully present enough to experience them. This is why Buddhism constantly reminds us of impermanence. Everything changes. Every season of life eventually passes. The people around you will not always be here. Your current chapter will not last forever. Even your own body changes every single day. At first, this truth may sound painful, but it can also awaken deep gratitude. Because when you realize nothing lasts forever, you begin appreciating moments more deeply. You stop postponing peace. You stop waiting for life to become perfect before allowing yourself to feel happiness. You stop taking people for granted. You stop wasting years trapped inside meaningless stress. Instead, you begin living more consciously. You become more emotionally present during conversations. You spend more time appreciating life instead of endlessly criticizing it. You become more aware of how precious ordinary moments truly are. Buddhism teaches that awareness transforms life. The same life that once felt repetitive begins to feel meaningful when you fully experience it with presence. Even small moments become sacred because you understand they will never happen in exactly the same way again. This moment will never return. This version of you will never exist again. This stage of your life is temporary, and once you deeply understand this, you stop wasting so much energy mentally escaping from your own life. Many people are waiting for a future version of themselves to finally become happy. But happiness is not hiding somewhere far away. Peace begins the moment you reconnect with the present moment instead of constantly abandoning it. You do not need a perfect life to enjoy being alive. You do not need endless success to experience peace. You do not need everyone's approval to feel grateful for your existence. Sometimes all you truly need is awareness. Awareness allows you to notice the beauty you were too distracted to see before. Awareness allows you to slow down enough to actually feel life again. Awareness allows you to reconnect with yourself beneath all the stress, pressure, and emotional noise. And when this awareness grows, something powerful begins happening inside you. Life no longer feels like something you are trying to survive. It begins feeling like something you are finally experiencing. You stop rushing through every moment. You stop treating life like a race. You stop postponing joy until some imaginary perfect future. Instead, you begin understanding that your life is already happening now. This morning mattered. This conversation mattered. This breath matters. Because one day, all of this will disappear. The people you love will become memories. The moments you ignored will be gone forever. The time you thought you had plenty of will suddenly feel very short. And this is exactly why Buddhism teaches people to wake up before regret arrives. Do not wait until life forces you to appreciate the present moment. Do not wait until loss teaches you the value of time. Do not wait until years disappear before realizing how precious your existence truly was. Enjoy your life while you still can. Protect your peace while you still can. Love deeply while you still can. Rest your mind while you still can. Experience your moments while you still can, because your time here is limited. And one of the greatest tragedies is not dying. The greatest tragedy is spending your entire life distracted, emotionally absent, and disconnected from the beauty of being alive while you had the chance. 10. Wake up before life teaches you through regret. One of the deepest pains a person can experience is realizing too late that they wasted their life worrying about things that never truly mattered. Many people move through life without awareness. They wake up every day repeating the same emotional patterns, carrying the same fears, chasing the same distractions, and postponing their happiness as if they have endless time left. Then suddenly, years disappear. Their body changes. Their relationships change. Their opportunities disappear. And one day, they are forced to face the painful truth that life moved much faster than they ever imagined. Buddhism teaches that suffering often becomes the teacher people refused to listen to earlier. Many people only begin appreciating peace after stress destroys their mental health. They only value time after years have already been wasted. They only understand the importance of presence after losing moments they can never experience again. But wisdom means waking up before regret arrives. Many people live unconsciously for so long that they do not even notice their life slowly slipping away. They become trapped inside routines, distractions, pressure, and emotional exhaustion. Every day feels the same. Wake up, stress, overthink, chase, worry, sleep, repeat. Slowly, life stops feeling meaningful because the mind becomes disconnected from the present moment. Some people spend decades trying to impress others while completely neglecting themselves. They constantly seek validation, approval, and recognition, believing these things will finally make them feel worthy. But even after receiving attention or success, many still feel empty inside because peace cannot be built on external validation alone. Others spend years trapped in fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of change. Because of this fear, they never fully become themselves. They silence their dreams, ignore their intuition, and stay emotionally stuck in environments that slowly destroy their spirit. Then one day, regret arrives quietly, and they begin wondering what their life could have become if they had simply trusted themselves earlier. Buddhism constantly reminds us that life is temporary because awareness of death creates clarity about how we should live. When you truly understand that your time here is limited, many things suddenly stop feeling important. You realize how much energy you wasted on meaningless arguments, toxic relationships, unnecessary stress, and emotional attachments that only brought suffering into your life. You begin understanding that peace matters more than ego, presence matters more than perfection, inner freedom matters more than public approval. Many people regret spending too much time mentally absent from their own lives. They regret not appreciating the people they loved while they still had them. They regret constantly postponing joy, rest, and happiness because they believed there would always be another chance later. But later is never promised. One day, a normal moment suddenly becomes the last moment. A normal conversation becomes the final conversation. A normal day becomes a memory. And this is why Buddhism teaches mindfulness so deeply. Mindfulness helps you fully experience life before it disappears. It teaches you to stop rushing through existence unconsciously. Because once a moment passes, it never returns in exactly the same way again. Many people are physically alive, but spiritually disconnected. They go through years without truly feeling awake inside. They are constantly distracted by noise, pressure, comparison, and endless mental stimulation. Even during beautiful moments, their mind is somewhere else. They cannot enjoy peace because they never fully slow down enough to feel it. But one day, reality forces everyone to face impermanence. These moments often wake people up emotionally. Suddenly they begin seeing life differently. The things they once obsessed over no longer seem important. They begin valuing peace, connection, presence, and emotional honesty far more deeply. But Buddhism teaches that you do not need to wait for suffering to wake you up. You can become aware now. You can begin protecting your peace now. You can stop wasting your life emotionally trapped inside fear now. You can begin appreciating ordinary moments now before they become memories. Many people think regret only comes from failure, but often regret comes from inaction. It comes from the chances you never took, the truth you never spoke, the life you never fully allowed yourself to live. Some people spend years pretending to be fine while secretly feeling emotionally exhausted inside. They continue ignoring their mental and spiritual needs because they believe survival is enough. But deep down, the soul wants more than survival. The soul wants meaning, presence, peace, authenticity. Buddhism teaches that awareness is the beginning of transformation. The moment you become honest with yourself, your life begins to change. You begin noticing how much unnecessary suffering you have been carrying. You begin realizing how much time has been spent mentally trapped in worries that never truly mattered. And slowly, you begin letting go. You stop needing to control everything. You stop needing everyone to approve of you. You stop wasting emotional energy trying to fight every battle. Instead, you begin focusing on what truly matters: inner peace, presence, love, gratitude, awareness, meaningful connection, a calm mind. These things become more important because you finally understand how fragile life truly is. Many people assume they have plenty of time left, but Buddhism reminds us that life is uncertain for everyone. Nobody knows how much time remains. Some people leave this world unexpectedly while still making plans for tomorrow. This truth is not meant to create fear. It is meant to remind you to stop wasting your life asleep. Wake up emotionally, wake up spiritually, wake up mentally. Notice how quickly days disappear. Notice how often your mind abandons the present moment. Notice how many beautiful experiences are missed because of constant distraction and overthinking. Most people do not realize they are wasting life while it is happening. They only see it clearly later, when time has already passed. This is why awareness matters so deeply. Awareness allows you to catch yourself before regret takes over your life. It helps you recognize when your mind is trapped in meaningless stress. It reminds you that your peace is valuable. It reminds you that this moment matters. Many people think happiness will finally arrive after achieving certain goals. But Buddhism teaches that peace is not hiding somewhere in the future. Peace begins when you stop abandoning the present moment. A peaceful life is not created by perfection. It is created by awareness. Awareness helps you enjoy ordinary moments more deeply. Awareness helps you become emotionally present with people you love. Awareness helps you appreciate life instead of constantly rushing through it. When awareness grows, your priorities begin changing naturally. You stop caring so much about impressing people. You stop chasing things that damage your spirit. You stop sacrificing your mental health just to meet endless expectations. Instead, you begin creating a life that actually feels meaningful to your soul. Many people regret never truly being themselves. They spent years hiding who they were because they feared judgment. But at the end of life, pretending becomes meaningless. What matters is whether you lived honestly and peacefully while you had the chance. Buddhism teaches acceptance because life will never become perfectly controlled. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be change. But peace becomes possible when you stop resisting reality so aggressively. You stop trying to force life to happen exactly according to your expectations. You stop emotionally collapsing every time something changes. You begin understanding that impermanence is part of existence itself. This creates emotional freedom. A peaceful person still experiences pain, but they are no longer destroyed by every difficult moment. They understand that emotions rise and fall like waves. They stop treating temporary struggles as permanent prisons. And because of this awareness, they begin living more lightly. Many people carry emotional weight for years because they believe suffering is normal. But Buddhism teaches that much of human suffering comes from attachment, resistance, and unconscious living. You do not need to carry every painful memory forever. You do not need to spend your life trapped inside fear. You do not need to keep postponing happiness until some perfect future arrives. Life is happening now. This breath matters. This day matters. This chapter of your life matters. And one day, all of this will disappear forever. That is why regret can become such a painful teacher. It forces people to realize how precious life always was. But Buddhism teaches that wisdom means learning before regret becomes necessary. Do not wait until loss teaches you to appreciate people. Do not wait until exhaustion teaches you to protect your peace. Do not wait until years disappear before understanding the value of the present moment. Wake up now. Wake up before life forces awareness through pain. Wake up before your spirit becomes completely exhausted. Wake up before your life becomes a collection of missed moments and emotional absence. Because your time here is limited. One day, your current problems will no longer matter. One day, your achievements, fears, and worries will all fade away. One day, this version of your life will exist only as memory. And when that day comes, what will truly matter is not how perfect your life looked from the outside. What will matter is whether you truly lived while you had the chance. Did you appreciate the people you loved? Did you protect your peace? Did you spend your life consciously? Did you allow yourself to experience joy, presence, and gratitude? Or did you spend most of your existence distracted, stressed, emotionally disconnected, and waiting for a future that never truly arrived? Buddhism teaches that every moment is precious because every moment is temporary. So stop postponing your life, stop abandoning your peace, stop treating your time casually. Because one day, life will teach every person the value of time. The question is whether you will awaken through awareness or only through regret. 11. The present moment is the only life you truly have. Most people spend their entire lives mentally living somewhere else. Their body exists in the present moment, but their mind is constantly trapped in the past or worried about the future. They replay old mistakes, old conversations, old heartbreaks, and painful memories that can no longer be changed. At the same time, they fear tomorrow, overthink possibilities, and create anxiety about situations that may never even happen. Because of this, many people never fully experience the life directly in front of them. Buddhism teaches that this is one of the greatest reasons human beings suffer. The mind abandons the present moment so often that people slowly lose connection with life itself. They become emotionally exhausted, not because every moment is terrible, but because their thoughts constantly pull them away from the peace available right now. Many people believe life exists somewhere in the future. They tell themselves they will finally relax later. They will finally feel peaceful later. They will finally enjoy life after solving every problem, achieving every goal, or becoming the perfect version of themselves. But Buddhism teaches that this mindset creates endless suffering because the mind will always invent another condition before allowing itself to feel complete. One goal leads to another. One fear is replaced by another. One pressure disappears and a new one arrives. And because of this endless cycle, people continue postponing their happiness while life quietly passes by. The truth is, the present moment is the only life you truly have. Yesterday is already gone. Tomorrow is uncertain. This moment is all that truly exists. But most people do not realize how much of their life they lose because they are never fully present enough to experience it deeply. Some people cannot even enjoy peaceful moments because their mind is always racing. Even during rest, they feel pressure. Even during beautiful experiences, they are distracted. Their thoughts constantly move somewhere else, and slowly they begin feeling emotionally disconnected from life. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness brings your attention back to the present moment. It teaches you how to stop mentally escaping from life and start fully experiencing it. A mindful person begins noticing things most people ignore. The feeling of breathing calmly after emotional stress, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of birds in the morning, the peace of silence, a meaningful conversation, the presence of someone you love. These things may seem ordinary, but they become deeply meaningful when your mind is fully awake enough to experience them. Many people are so distracted by stress, comparison, and pressure that they no longer notice the beauty surrounding them every day. Their mind is overloaded with noise, so life begins to feel emotionally dull and repetitive. But the problem is not always life itself. Often, the problem is that the mind is never truly here. Buddhism teaches that awareness transforms ordinary moments into meaningful ones. The same life that once felt empty begins feeling alive again when you become fully present inside it. This is why peaceful people often appreciate simple things more deeply. They are not constantly chasing the next distraction or mentally abandoning the current moment. Instead, they slow down enough to actually feel life while it is happening. Many people believe happiness comes from changing external circumstances, but Buddhism teaches that inner awareness changes your experience of reality more than external achievements alone. A person with a restless mind can have success, money, attention, and endless distractions, yet still feel emotionally empty inside. Another person may live, simply yet feel deeply peaceful because they are fully present in their own existence. The mind determines how life is experienced. This is why protecting your attention is so important. Modern life constantly pulls attention away from the present moment. Notifications, endless scrolling, comparison, pressure, entertainment, and emotional noise train people to become mentally distracted all the time. Many individuals cannot sit quietly for even a few minutes without immediately reaching for stimulation. Silence feels uncomfortable to them because they are no longer connected to themselves. But Buddhism teaches that silence is necessary for awareness. When the noise finally becomes quiet, you begin hearing your inner world more clearly. You notice your fears, emotional patterns, and hidden exhaustion. You begin understanding how often your mind creates suffering by constantly resisting the present moment. Many people suffer because they mentally fight reality all day long. They resist what already happened. They obsess over what might happen. They replay situations they cannot control. They create emotional pain through endless overthinking. But Buddhism teaches acceptance because peace begins when the mind stops constantly resisting life. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means understanding that fighting reality mentally only creates more suffering. A mindful person still experiences problems, pain, and uncertainty, but they are no longer completely consumed by every emotional storm. They learn how to return to the present moment instead of becoming trapped inside fear and mental chaos. Many people lose years of their life to anxiety about the future. They worry constantly about failure, rejection, money, relationships, health, and uncertainty. Some level of planning is natural, but endless fear about tomorrow steals peace from today. And often, the future people feared never even arrives the way they imagined it. The mind creates suffering by constantly projecting itself into imagined problems. Buddhism teaches that the future is always uncertain, which is exactly why the present moment matters so much. This breath is real. This conversation is real. This experience is real. Life is not happening later. It is happening now. But people often sacrifice the present moment trying to mentally control the future. They forget that peace can only be experienced in the present. Gratitude can only be experienced in the present. Love can only be experienced in the present. Even healing begins in the present moment. Many people cannot heal emotionally because their mind constantly returns to old wounds. They replay painful memories over and over again, keeping suffering alive mentally long after events have already passed. Buddhism teaches that awareness helps break this cycle. The moment you observe your thoughts instead of blindly following them, your relationship with suffering begins to change. You realize not every thought is truth, not every fear deserves belief, not every emotion should control your entire life. This awareness creates space inside the mind. Instead of immediately reacting emotionally to everything, you begin responding more calmly. You stop allowing every stressful situation to completely destroy your peace. You become less reactive and more conscious. And slowly, your inner world becomes lighter. Many people spend years waiting for some future moment to finally feel alive. But Buddhism teaches that aliveness already exists inside the present moment. The problem is that the distracted mind cannot fully recognize it. This is why mindfulness changes everything. Mindfulness transforms eating into an experience instead of a rushed habit. Mindfulness transforms conversations into meaningful connection instead of distracted interaction. Mindfulness transforms ordinary moments into reminders that life itself is precious. A mindful person understands that every moment is temporary. This day will never happen again. This version of your life will never exist again. This chapter will eventually become memory. And once you deeply understand this, you stop taking moments for granted. You stop rushing through life so aggressively. You stop mentally abandoning yourself every day. You stop treating your existence casually. Instead, you begin living more consciously. Many people regret not being more present while important moments were happening. They regret not appreciating loved ones enough while they still had them. They regret spending years distracted, stressed, emotionally unavailable, or trapped inside endless pressure. And often these regrets appear only after time has already passed. Buddhism teaches awareness now, so regret does not become your teacher later. Wake up while life is still happening. Wake up while moments can still be experienced. Wake up before years disappear unnoticed. The present moment may seem small, but your entire life is made of present moments. Your relationships are built in the present. Your peace is experienced in the present. Your healing happens in the present. Your joy exists in the present. If you lose connection with the present moment, you slowly lose connection with life itself. This is why so many people feel emotionally numb. Their mind is constantly overloaded, distracted, and disconnected. They are alive physically, but mentally they are trapped somewhere else. But the moment awareness returns, life begins feeling different again. You begin noticing beauty in ordinary things. You appreciate peace more deeply. You stop needing constant stimulation to feel okay. You begin enjoying your own existence instead of constantly escaping from it. And perhaps most importantly, you begin realizing that this moment was never ordinary at all. It was life itself. Buddhism teaches that nothing lasts forever. Every moment eventually disappears. Every chapter ends. Every person changes. Even your current struggles will one day become part of the past. This truth can feel painful, but it can also awaken deep gratitude. Because when you realize moments are temporary, you begin experiencing them more deeply instead of unconsciously rushing through them. You become more emotionally present with people you love. You listen more carefully. You breathe more consciously. You appreciate simple peace more sincerely. You begin understanding that the present moment is not something small or unimportant. It is your entire life unfolding in real time. And one day, all of these moments will become memory. This is why Buddhism teaches mindfulness not as a small practice, but as a way of truly living. Because a distracted mind misses life. A fearful mind postpones life, but an aware mind finally experiences life while it is still here. So stop abandoning the present moment. Stop waiting for the future to finally begin living. Stop sacrificing today's peace for endless mental noise about tomorrow, because this moment matters. This breath matters. This chapter of your life matters. And one day, you will realize that the present moment was never just a small part of life. It was the only life you truly had. 12. One day, you will realize peace was more important than everything else. Many people spend most of their lives chasing things they believe will finally make them feel complete. They chase money, status, validation, attention, relationships, and endless achievements, believing that once they finally obtain enough, they will eventually feel peaceful inside. But Buddhism teaches that outer success without inner peace still creates suffering. A person can have everything the world admires and still feel emotionally empty inside. This is because peace is not something the outside world can permanently give you. Many people spend years trying to control life so perfectly that they completely destroy their own mental health in the process. They constantly stress about the future, overthink every situation, compare themselves to others, and emotionally exhaust themselves trying to meet impossible expectations. Slowly, they become disconnected from their own spirit because their entire life becomes built around pressure instead of presence. But one day, many people finally realize something powerful. Peace was always more valuable than the things they sacrificed it for. The argument was not worth losing sleep over. The toxic relationship was not worth destroying their mental health over. The endless need for approval was not worth abandoning themselves over. The constant pressure to prove something to the world was not worth losing their inner calm over. But unfortunately, many people only understand this after years of emotional exhaustion. Buddhism teaches that suffering often comes from attachment. The mind becomes attached to control, expectations, outcomes, people, and desires. And when life does not unfold exactly the way the mind wants, frustration and suffering appear. Some people spend their entire life chasing more without ever learning how to appreciate what they already have. They become addicted to achievement and external validation. Even when they accomplish something meaningful, the satisfaction quickly disappears because the mind immediately creates another goal to chase. This endless cycle keeps people emotionally restless. They cannot enjoy the present because their happiness always depends on something outside themselves. More success, more attention, more money, more recognition, more control. But Buddhism teaches that lasting peace cannot grow inside a constantly restless mind. A peaceful person is not someone whose life is perfect. A peaceful person is someone who no longer allows every problem, fear, or outside opinion to completely control their inner world. This is why inner peace is one of the most valuable things a human being can protect. Without peace, even beautiful experiences lose their meaning. Without peace, success feels empty. Without peace, relationships become emotionally exhausting. Without peace, the mind becomes a prison instead of a place of clarity. Many people look calm on the outside while secretly feeling overwhelmed inside. Their thoughts never stop racing. Their mind is constantly replaying problems, fears, and emotional pain. They become so used to stress that they no longer remember what true inner calm even feels like. But Buddhism teaches that peace is your natural state beneath all the noise. The problem is that most people never slow down enough to reconnect with it. Modern life constantly pulls people away from inner stillness. Endless distractions, social comparison, emotional pressure, and non-stop stimulation keep the mind overloaded. Many individuals are afraid of silence because silence forces them to face themselves honestly. But silence is often where healing begins. When the noise becomes quiet, you begin seeing your life more clearly. You begin noticing how much unnecessary suffering you have been carrying. You begin realizing how many things you worried about never truly mattered. And slowly, you begin craving peace more than chaos. Many people unknowingly become addicted to emotional chaos. They stay attached to drama, conflict, toxic relationships, and constant stress because it feels familiar. Even when peace becomes available, they struggle to accept it because their nervous system has become used to survival mode. But Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness helps break these unconscious patterns. The moment you become aware of what is disturbing your peace, you gain the power to change your relationship with it. You stop feeding every negative thought. You stop reacting emotionally to every situation. You stop allowing every opinion to enter your mind so deeply. And because of this, your inner world slowly becomes lighter. Many people believe peace comes after controlling life perfectly. But life will never become perfectly controlled. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be change. There will always be moments of pain, disappointment, and difficulty. Buddhism does not teach people to escape reality. It teaches people how to remain internally balanced within reality. A peaceful person still experiences hard moments, but they no longer collapse emotionally every time life becomes uncomfortable. They understand that emotions rise and fall like waves. They stop resisting every difficult experience and begin flowing through life with more acceptance. This creates emotional freedom. Many people lose their peace trying to hold on to things that were never permanent. They hold on to relationships that already ended emotionally long ago. They hold on to old identities that no longer fit who they are becoming. They hold on to expectations that reality keeps refusing to fulfill. And because of this attachment, they continue suffering. But Buddhism teaches impermanence because understanding impermanence changes the way you live. It reminds you that everything changes. Every chapter eventually ends. Every person changes. Every season of life passes. At first, this truth can feel painful, but eventually it becomes liberating. Because once you accept that nothing lasts forever, you stop clinging so desperately to everything. You begin appreciating moments more deeply instead of trying to control them endlessly. You begin loving people more honestly instead of trying to possess them emotionally. You begin experiencing life more fully instead of constantly fearing loss. And, most importantly, you begin protecting your peace more carefully. Many people spend years prioritizing things that damage their inner calm. They sacrifice sleep, mental health, emotional balance, and spiritual well-being while chasing things they believe will eventually fulfill them. But often, by the time they achieve those things, they realize they lost themselves along the way. This is why Buddhism teaches balance. Success without peace becomes emptiness. Achievement without awareness becomes exhaustion. Connection without inner calm becomes attachment and fear. Peace changes the way you experience everything. A peaceful mind enjoys ordinary moments more deeply. A peaceful mind responds instead of reacting. A peaceful mind can sit in silence without needing constant distraction. Many people are searching for peace in the outside world while ignoring the condition of their own mind. But Buddhism teaches that external comfort alone cannot permanently calm inner chaos. You can change environments, relationships, careers, or circumstances. But if the mind remains restless, suffering follows you everywhere. This is why inner work matters so deeply. Peace begins when you become aware of your thoughts instead of blindly obeying them. Peace begins when you stop emotionally attaching yourself to every temporary situation. Peace begins when you stop allowing fear, comparison, and endless pressure to dominate your life. And perhaps most importantly, peace begins when you realize your time here is limited. One day, life will end for every person. Your achievements will fade. Your worries will disappear. Your fears will no longer matter. And when that day arrives, many people realize that peace was always far more valuable than the things they spent their whole life chasing. Nobody reaches the end of life wishing they worried more. Nobody wishes they spent more years emotionally exhausted. Nobody wishes they sacrificed more peace trying to impress strangers. Most people simply wish they had lived more calmly, more honestly, and more consciously. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects you with what truly matters: the present moment, inner calm, awareness, gratitude, compassion, peace. These things may seem simple, but they are deeply powerful. A peaceful person experiences life differently. They stop rushing through existence unconsciously. They stop treating every inconvenience like a disaster. They stop allowing external chaos to completely dominate their inner world. Instead, they become more grounded. They appreciate ordinary moments more deeply. They protect their mental energy more carefully. They become intentional about who and what they allow into their life. And because of this awareness, life begins feeling lighter. Many people spend years searching for meaning while ignoring the peace available in simple presence. But Buddhism teaches that peace is not hiding somewhere far away. It already exists beneath the endless noise of the mind. The problem is that most people are too distracted to notice it. Their attention is constantly stolen by stress, comparison, fear, and endless mental activity. Their mind never becomes still enough to experience life deeply. But when awareness grows, something beautiful begins happening inside you. You stop needing constant stimulation to feel okay. You stop chasing validation so desperately. You stop emotionally collapsing every time life becomes uncertain. Instead, you begin trusting the present moment more deeply. You realize that peace is not weakness. Peace is strength, and when everything else eventually fades away, inner peace becomes one of the few things that truly makes life feel meaningful while you are still here. So stop sacrificing your peace for things that do not truly matter. Stop abandoning yourself trying to carry the weight of the entire world. Stop believing your worth depends on endless achievement or approval. Slow down, breathe deeply, protect your mind, protect your spirit. Because one day you will realize that peace was never a small thing. It was the foundation of a meaningful life all along. 13. Do not reach the end of life without ever truly knowing yourself. One of the saddest things that can happen to a human being is spending an entire lifetime becoming everything the world wanted them to be, while never truly discovering who they really are inside. Many people move through life wearing masks. They adapt themselves to fit into environments, relationships, expectations, and social pressures until eventually they become disconnected from their own soul. Buddhism teaches that self-awareness is one of the most important parts of inner peace, because a person who does not know themselves can easily spend years chasing the wrong things. They can spend their life following paths that look successful from the outside while secretly feeling empty inside. Many people are so busy trying to survive, impress others, and meet expectations that they never slow down long enough to ask themselves important questions. Who am I beneath all this pressure? What truly matters to me? What kind of life actually brings peace to my soul? Am I living consciously, or am I simply following routines and expectations without awareness? These questions are deeply important because without self-awareness, people often live according to fear instead of truth. Some people choose careers they hate because society tells them success matters more than peace. Some stay in relationships that emotionally destroy them because they fear loneliness. Some silence their personality, dreams, and emotions because they are afraid of judgment. And slowly, they lose connection with themselves. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when you live too far away from your true nature. Deep inside, the soul always knows when something feels wrong. Even if the outside world praises you, inner emptiness still remains when your life is disconnected from truth. Many people spend years ignoring this emptiness because distraction feels easier than honesty. They constantly keep themselves busy. Endless scrolling, entertainment, work, social validation, and noise become ways to avoid facing themselves deeply. But eventually, silence arrives, and in silence, the truth becomes harder to escape. Some people suddenly realize they have spent most of their life performing for others instead of truly living for themselves. This realization can feel painful, but it can also become the beginning of awakening, because awareness changes everything. The moment you become honest with yourself, your priorities begin changing. You stop blindly following what everyone else expects from you. You begin listening to your inner world more carefully. You begin noticing what gives you peace and what quietly destroys your spirit. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects you with yourself again. Most people are constantly distracted, which is why they feel disconnected from their own emotions, thoughts, and needs. Their attention is always outside themselves, so they never fully understand what is happening inside. But when awareness grows, clarity begins to appear. You start noticing how often you betray your own peace just to satisfy others. You notice how much emotional energy is wasted trying to gain approval. You notice how many things you chase do not actually make you happy, and slowly you begin changing. Many people think knowing yourself means simply understanding your personality, but Buddhism teaches something much deeper. Knowing yourself means understanding your fears, attachments, desires, emotional patterns, and unconscious habits. It means noticing how your mind creates suffering. It means becoming aware of the emotional wounds controlling your reactions. It means understanding what truly brings meaning into your life instead of blindly following what society tells you to value. This kind of awareness is powerful because it frees you from unconscious living. Most people never pause long enough to examine their own mind. They react emotionally without understanding why. They become attached to things without questioning whether those attachments are healthy. They spend years repeating painful emotional patterns because they never fully become aware of them. Buddhism teaches that awareness is the first step toward freedom. The moment you become aware of your patterns, you stop being controlled by them so blindly. You notice your overthinking. You notice your fear of rejection. You notice your emotional dependence on approval. You notice how often your happiness depends on external things. And instead of continuing unconsciously, you begin changing your relationship with these patterns. This creates inner growth. Many people are terrified of being alone because being alone forces them to face themselves honestly. In silence, distractions disappear and hidden emotions rise to the surface. This is why so many people constantly seek noise, entertainment, and stimulation. They are trying to escape themselves. But Buddhism teaches that solitude can become deeply healing. When you spend time alone consciously, you begin hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You begin understanding yourself beyond the roles society gave you. Slowly, you reconnect with parts of yourself that were buried beneath years of pressure and distraction. And through this awareness, peace begins growing. A person who knows themselves deeply becomes harder to control emotionally. They stop seeking constant approval because they understand their own value internally. They stop blindly following the crowd because they trust their inner clarity more than external pressure. Many people lose themselves because they spend too much time trying to fit into places where they never truly belonged. They abandon their own truth to avoid judgment. But eventually, this creates emotional exhaustion because pretending to be someone else drains the soul. Buddhism teaches authenticity because peace cannot fully exist where constant pretending exists. You cannot feel deeply peaceful while continuously abandoning yourself. This is why inner honesty matters so much. Inner honesty means admitting when something no longer aligns with your spirit. It means admitting when a relationship is harming your peace. It means admitting when your current path feels empty. It means acknowledging your emotional pain instead of constantly suppressing it. Many people avoid this honesty because change feels frightening. But avoiding truth creates even deeper suffering over time. Some individuals spend decades living according to fear. Fear of disappointing family, fear of failure, fear of uncertainty, fear of being misunderstood. And because of this fear, they never fully become themselves. Then one day, regret appears quietly. They begin wondering what their life could have been if they had trusted themselves earlier. Buddhism teaches impermanence because life moves quickly. Your time here is limited. One day, your current chapter will end. Your youth will fade. The people around you will change. Opportunities will disappear. And when life finally reaches its final chapter, many external things that once seemed important will lose their meaning completely. What will remain is the relationship you had with yourself. Did you live honestly? Did you understand yourself deeply? Did you protect your peace? Or did you spend your whole life becoming who others wanted you to be? These questions matter more than most people realize. Many people are successful externally, but deeply disconnected internally. They built impressive lives, but never built inner peace. They learned how to satisfy society, but never learned how to truly understand themselves. And this creates silent suffering. Buddhism teaches that true fulfillment cannot exist without self-awareness. A person who does not know themselves deeply will continue searching endlessly for peace in external things. But external things constantly change. Money changes, relationships change, status changes, the world changes. Inner awareness becomes one of the few stable things you can truly build upon. This is why Buddhism places so much importance on observing the mind. Your thoughts shape your experience of reality. If the mind remains unconscious, fear and attachment dominate life. But when awareness grows, you begin seeing through many illusions that once controlled you. You realize not every desire will bring peace. You realize not every fear deserves belief. You realize not every social expectation aligns with your soul. And because of this awareness, your life begins becoming more intentional. You stop living automatically. You stop wasting years trying to impress people who do not truly understand you. You stop abandoning your peace for temporary validation. Instead, you begin creating a life that feels emotionally honest. This does not mean life suddenly becomes perfect. Buddhism never promises perfection. Pain, uncertainty, and difficulty still exist. But awareness changes how you move through them. An aware person suffers less because they stop fighting themselves constantly. They stop resisting reality so aggressively. They stop building their entire identity around external approval. And through this, a quieter form of peace begins appearing inside them. Many people fear death because they secretly know they never truly lived as themselves. They spent years hiding, pretending, conforming, and emotionally disconnecting from their truth. But a person who knows themselves deeply experiences life differently. They speak more honestly, they love more sincerely, they protect their peace more carefully. They stop wasting so much energy trying to become acceptable to everyone. And because of this, they begin feeling emotionally free. Buddhism teaches that awakening is not about becoming someone new. It is about removing the illusions, attachments, fears, and distractions that prevented you from truly seeing yourself clearly. The peaceful version of you already exists beneath all the noise, beneath the pressure, beneath the fear, beneath the emotional exhaustion. But you must become still enough to reconnect with it. This is why silence matters. This is why mindfulness matters. This is why awareness matters. Because without awareness, life passes by unconsciously. And one day, many people suddenly realize they became strangers to themselves while trying to satisfy the world around them. Do not let that happen to you. Take time to know yourself deeply. Spend time alone without constant distraction. Observe your thoughts honestly. Question what truly matters to your soul. Protect your peace instead of constantly sacrificing it for approval. Because one day, external achievements will fade away. The opinions of strangers will disappear. Even your current identity will eventually change. But the relationship you build with yourself while you are alive will shape the entire quality of your existence. And at the end of life, one of the greatest forms of peace is knowing that you did not spend your whole journey running away from who you truly were. 14. Stop carrying the weight of the entire world inside your mind. Many people are emotionally exhausted not because they are weak, but because they have been mentally carrying too much for far too long. Every day they absorb stress, pressure, fear, responsibilities, expectations, emotional pain, and the problems of everyone around them until their mind becomes overwhelmed. Slowly, they lose their peace without even realizing it. They continue functioning, smiling, working, and surviving, but deep inside, they feel mentally heavy all the time. Buddhism teaches that much of human suffering comes from attachment and mental resistance. The mind keeps holding on to everything: old pain, future worries, guilt, anger, fear, disappointment, regret, and endless emotional pressure become permanent weight inside the heart. Over time, this emotional burden drains a person's energy, clarity, and ability to enjoy life. Many people have become so used to stress that they no longer remember what inner calm even feels like. They wake up already anxious. They overthink every situation. They carry conversations in their mind for hours. They replay mistakes from years ago. They worry constantly about the future. And because the mind never truly rests, the soul slowly becomes tired. Buddhism teaches that the human mind was never meant to carry endless emotional weight every single day. Yet many people continue doing exactly that, because they believe they must control everything around them to finally feel safe or peaceful. But life cannot be controlled perfectly. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be unexpected situations. There will always be moments where things do not go according to plan. The more you try to mentally control every part of life, the more exhausted you become. Many people spend years trying to solve problems that do not even exist yet. Their mind constantly creates worst-case scenarios. They fear future pain before it even arrives. They imagine rejection, failure, loss and disappointment over and over again until anxiety becomes their normal emotional state. But Buddhism teaches that much of this suffering is created inside the mind itself. The mind becomes trapped in endless thinking, thinking about what could happen, thinking about what should have happened, thinking about things completely outside your control. And because of this constant mental activity, people lose connection with the present moment. They cannot enjoy life because their thoughts never become quiet enough to experience peace. Many people also carry emotional weight that does not even belong to them anymore. They carry the expectations of family, the opinions of strangers, the negativity of toxic people, and the emotional chaos of environments that constantly drain their spirit. Over time, they become emotionally overwhelmed because they never learned how to protect their inner world. Buddhism teaches compassion, but it does not teach self-destruction. You are not required to emotionally carry every problem in the world. You are not responsible for fixing everyone. You are not meant to destroy your own mental peace, trying to absorb endless emotional pain from everything around you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is stop carrying what was never yours to hold forever. Many people feel guilty when they begin protecting their peace. They feel guilty for resting, guilty for saying no, guilty for stepping away from emotionally draining environments, guilty for creating boundaries. But Buddhism teaches balance. A person whose mind is constantly overwhelmed cannot live consciously. They become reactive, exhausted, emotionally unstable, and disconnected from themselves. This is why inner peace matters so deeply. Without peace, even ordinary life begins feeling unbearably heavy. Many individuals carry invisible emotional wounds every day: old heartbreaks, childhood pain, betrayal, rejection, failure, shame, fear. Even when years pass, the mind continues holding on to these emotional scars tightly. And because they never fully process or release these emotions, the suffering continues silently inside them. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness helps you observe what you are carrying emotionally. Many people are so distracted that they never stop to notice how heavy their inner world has become. They just continue surviving day after day without realizing how much emotional pressure is crushing their spirit. But the moment awareness enters the mind, something powerful begins to happen. You begin noticing what is draining you. You begin noticing what thoughts repeatedly create suffering. You begin noticing which people leave your mind feeling exhausted instead of peaceful. And through this awareness, you slowly begin letting go. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you realize you cannot spend your entire existence carrying emotional weight that destroys your peace. Many people believe strength means constantly enduring more pressure without breaking. But Buddhism teaches a different kind of strength. Real strength is learning how to protect your inner peace in a chaotic world. Real strength is knowing when to step back. Real strength is refusing to let every problem consume your mind. Real strength is understanding that rest is necessary for healing. Some people spend their entire life emotionally overloaded because they never learned how to slow down. They constantly chase, worry, and overwork themselves until they become disconnected from life itself. But life was never meant to feel like endless mental survival. Buddhism teaches that peace becomes possible when you stop identifying with every thought in your mind. Most people believe every fearful thought automatically deserves attention. But many thoughts are simply mental noise created by stress, fear, and emotional conditioning. Not every thought is truth. Not every fear deserves belief. Not every emotional reaction should control your entire day. This understanding changes everything. The moment you stop blindly obeying every anxious thought, your mind begins becoming calmer. Instead of being controlled by mental chaos constantly, you begin observing your thoughts more consciously. You begin recognizing when your mind is creating unnecessary suffering. You begin recognizing when overthinking is stealing your peace. You begin understanding that endless worry does not protect you from pain. In fact, it often creates even more pain. Many people unknowingly destroy the present moment because they are mentally carrying tomorrow inside their head all day long. They cannot enjoy peace today because their mind is constantly trapped inside future fear. But Buddhism teaches that peace can only be experienced now, not in imagined futures, not in endless mental preparation, now. This is why mindfulness is so powerful. Mindfulness brings your attention back to the present moment, instead of allowing the mind to endlessly wander into fear and emotional chaos. A mindful person still experiences difficult emotions, but they no longer drown inside them completely. They learn how to pause, breathe, observe, accept, release. And because of this awareness, their inner world slowly becomes lighter. Many people also carry the emotional weight of unrealistic expectations. Society constantly teaches people they must always be productive, successful, perfect, emotionally strong, attractive, and constantly achieving more. Because of this pressure, many individuals secretly feel like they are never enough. No matter how hard they work, they still feel behind. No matter what they achieve, they still feel incomplete. This endless pressure creates deep emotional exhaustion. But Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when the mind constantly fights against reality. The more you attach your worth to impossible standards, the heavier life begins to feel. A peaceful person understands that their value is not measured only by achievement. Their worth is not dependent on perfection. Their existence does not need constant external validation to matter. This understanding creates emotional freedom. Many people carry guilt for simply being human. They criticize themselves endlessly for mistakes, weaknesses, emotional struggles, and imperfections. Their inner voice becomes harsh and unforgiving. But Buddhism teaches compassion, and that compassion must include yourself too. You are not meant to emotionally punish yourself forever for being imperfect. Healing requires gentleness, growth requires patience, peace requires self-awareness. Some people carry emotional suffering because they refuse to forgive themselves for the past. They replay old mistakes endlessly, believing they should have been different, stronger, smarter, or more prepared. But the past cannot be changed through self-hatred. Buddhism teaches acceptance because acceptance allows healing to begin. Acceptance does not mean approving of every painful thing that happened. It means understanding that endlessly resisting reality only deepens suffering. You cannot heal while constantly fighting yourself mentally. Many people also carry the weight of trying to save everyone around them. They absorb other people's emotions until their own spirit becomes overwhelmed. They feel responsible for fixing every problem, healing every person, and carrying everyone's pain. But you cannot pour peace into others while your own soul is completely exhausted. This is why boundaries matter. Protecting your peace is not selfish. Resting is not weakness. Stepping away from emotional chaos is not failure. Sometimes peace requires distance from things that constantly disturb your spirit. Buddhism teaches simplicity because the mind becomes lighter when life becomes less emotionally cluttered. Many people are carrying too much mentally because they never stop feeding their mind unnecessary noise, constant negativity, constant comparison, constant emotional drama, constant overthinking. All of this slowly fills the mind with heaviness. But peace grows when the mind becomes quieter. This is why silence feels healing to many people. Silence gives the nervous system space to breathe again. In silence, you begin reconnecting with yourself beneath all the pressure. You begin realizing how much suffering was created simply because the mind never stopped running. And slowly, you begin understanding that peace is not something small or unimportant. Peace is essential. Without peace, life feels heavy. Without peace, even success feels empty. Without peace, relationships become emotionally exhausting. Without peace, the mind becomes trapped in endless suffering. This is why Buddhism teaches letting go so deeply. Let go of what you cannot control. Let go of endless mental resistance. Let go of emotional weight that no longer serves your soul. Not because life becomes perfect afterward, but because your spirit deserves rest too. One day, you will realize that much of what once consumed your mind so deeply was temporary all along. The fears, the stress, the pressure, the opinions, the emotional chaos, most of it eventually fades away. But the years spent carrying it cannot be returned. That is why awareness matters now. Do not spend your entire life mentally drowning in things that steal your peace. Do not keep carrying emotional weight until your spirit becomes completely exhausted. Do not allow overthinking to rob you of the present moment forever. Slow down. Breathe. Protect your inner world. Allow yourself to rest emotionally. Because life already moves quickly enough without carrying the weight of the entire world inside your mind every single day. 15. Your life is happening. Right now. Stop waiting to finally live. Many people spend most of their lives unconsciously waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect version of themselves, or the perfect future where they finally allow themselves to feel peaceful and alive. They believe life will truly begin someday later when they become more successful, later when they heal completely, later when everything feels easier and more certain. But Buddhism teaches a painful truth that many people realize too late. Life is not waiting for you to be ready. Time keeps moving whether you fully live or not. Days quietly disappear. Years pass faster than expected. Seasons change. People come and go. And while all of this is happening, many individuals remain mentally trapped in fear, stress, hesitation, and endless preparation for a future that never fully arrives. One day, many people suddenly realize they spent more time preparing to live than actually living. They spent years overthinking, years doubting themselves, years postponing joy, years emotionally disconnected from the present moment. And because of this, life quietly passed by while they were mentally somewhere else. Buddhism teaches that this moment is not just a small part of life. This moment is life itself. Right now is your existence unfolding in real time. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now. But many people fail to realize this because their mind constantly abandons the present moment. They become so focused on future worries and future goals that they completely miss the life happening directly in front of them. Some people cannot even enjoy peaceful moments because their thoughts never stop running. Even during rest, they feel guilty. Even during beautiful experiences, they are distracted. They constantly feel pressure to do more, become more, fix more, achieve more. And slowly, this endless mental pressure steals their ability to feel alive. Buddhism teaches that suffering often comes from resisting the present moment. The mind believes peace exists somewhere else, so it keeps rejecting what is happening now. Instead of fully experiencing life, people mentally escape from it. They replay the past. They fear the future. They compare themselves constantly. They chase validation endlessly. And because of this, they lose touch with the only moment they truly have. Many people also believe they need perfect circumstances before they can finally enjoy life. They tell themselves they will rest after success. They will become peaceful after fixing every problem. They will finally feel happy after reaching some future destination. But the mind always creates another condition. One goal leads to another. One pressure gets replaced by another. One fear disappears and another appears. This is why many people remain emotionally exhausted no matter how much they accomplish. They are constantly postponing life itself. Buddhism teaches that peace cannot be found in endless mental chasing. Peace begins when you stop abandoning the present moment and finally become fully aware of the life already unfolding around you. Many people are waiting for permission to truly live. Permission from society, permission from success, permission from other people's approval. But life does not require permission to be experienced deeply. You do not need to become perfect before allowing yourself to feel joy. You do not need to solve every problem before appreciating the present moment. You do not need to earn the right to experience peace. Some of the most meaningful parts of life are happening quietly in ordinary moments. A conversation with someone you love, a peaceful morning, a deep breath after emotional chaos, a moment of silence where your mind finally becomes calm. But distracted people miss these moments constantly because their attention is always somewhere else. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness brings you back to reality. It teaches you to stop rushing through life unconsciously. Most people move through their days automatically. They wake up stressed, spend the day mentally overloaded, and fall asleep exhausted without ever truly feeling present. Then, one day, they wonder why life feels empty. But the emptiness often comes from emotional absence. You cannot fully experience life while constantly mentally escaping from it. Many people become addicted to future thinking. They constantly imagine what their life could become instead of experiencing what their life already is. While ambition itself is not wrong, endless attachment to the future destroys the ability to appreciate the present. And without appreciation, life begins feeling emotionally numb. Buddhism teaches gratitude because gratitude reconnects you with what already exists. A grateful mind notices beauty more easily. It appreciates simple moments. It understands that ordinary experiences are not guaranteed forever. Many people only appreciate certain moments after they are gone. They miss someone only after losing them. They value peace only after stress destroys their mental health. They appreciate time only after years have already disappeared. But wisdom means waking up before loss becomes your teacher. Wake up while life is still here. Wake up while moments can still be experienced. Wake up while your spirit still has time to reconnect with itself. Many individuals live as if they are guaranteed decades more time, but Buddhism constantly reminds us that life is uncertain. Nobody knows how much time remains. Some people leave this world unexpectedly while still planning for tomorrow. This truth is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create awareness, because awareness changes the way you live. When you truly understand that your time is limited, you stop wasting so much emotional energy on meaningless things. You stop obsessing over every opinion. You stop carrying unnecessary resentment. You stop postponing peace endlessly. Instead, you begin asking deeper questions. What truly matters to me? Am I spending my life consciously? Am I actually living or merely surviving? What would matter most if my journey ended sooner than expected? These questions awaken the soul. Many people spend years disconnected from themselves because they are constantly trying to satisfy external expectations. They build lives that look successful from the outside while secretly feeling emotionally empty inside. But Buddhism teaches that inner peace matters more than appearance. A person can look successful yet feel spiritually exhausted. Another person may live simply yet feel deeply alive because they are fully connected to the present moment. This is why awareness matters more than external perfection. The present moment contains your real life, not your imagined future, not your endless worries. not your mental fears. Your actual existence is unfolding now. Many people never fully experience their own lives because their thoughts constantly pull them somewhere else. They become trapped inside mental noise. Endless comparison, fear, regret, pressure, and overthinking slowly disconnect them from reality. But when awareness returns, life begins feeling different again. You notice beauty more easily. You appreciate ordinary moments more deeply. You stop needing constant stimulation to feel alive. A calm walk begins feeling meaningful. Silence becomes peaceful instead of uncomfortable. Even simple moments begin carrying emotional depth because your mind is finally present enough to experience them. Buddhism teaches that attachment to constant achievement also creates suffering. Society teaches people that their worth depends on productivity, success, and endless progress. Because of this, many people feel guilty whenever they slow down. They believe rest is laziness. They believe peace means falling behind. They believe they must constantly push themselves to exhaustion in order to deserve fulfillment. But this mindset slowly destroys the spirit. Life was never meant to feel like endless emotional survival. You were not born only to worry constantly. You were not born only to chase validation endlessly. You were not born only to carry pressure every single day. You were also meant to experience life deeply, to feel peace, to feel presence, to appreciate beauty, to connect sincerely with others, to experience moments fully before they disappear forever. Many people regret not slowing down enough while beautiful moments were happening. They regret being emotionally unavailable while spending time with loved ones. They regret wasting years trapped inside stress while life quietly moved forward around them. And this is why Buddhism teaches impermanence so deeply. Everything changes. Everything passes. This chapter of your life will eventually end. The people around you will not always be here. Even your current version of yourself is temporary. At first, this truth feels heavy, but eventually it becomes deeply freeing. Because once you understand that nothing lasts forever, you stop treating moments casually. You stop assuming there will always be another chance later. You stop taking people for granted. You stop postponing your peace endlessly. Instead, you begin living more consciously. You become emotionally present during conversations. You protect your mental peace more carefully. You become grateful for ordinary experiences that once felt invisible. And slowly, life begins feeling more meaningful again. Buddhism teaches that awakening is not about escaping life. It is about finally becoming fully present within life. Most people are asleep emotionally. They are distracted, disconnected, overwhelmed, mentally absent. But awareness wakes you up. Awareness reminds you that this breath matters, this day matters, this moment matters, and one day all of these moments will become memory. This is why your life should not be postponed forever. Do not wait until tragedy forces you to appreciate time. Do not wait until loss teaches you the value of presence. Do not wait until regret arrives before realizing how precious your existence truly was. Life is already happening, right now, in this breath, in this moment, in this chapter of your journey. So stop mentally escaping from your own existence. Stop sacrificing today's peace for endless fear about tomorrow. Stop waiting for some future version of yourself to finally allow yourself to live. Because one day, you will realize that life was never hiding somewhere far away in the future. It was quietly unfolding in the present moment the entire time. And the greatest tragedy is not that life ends someday. The greatest tragedy is reaching the end and realizing you were never fully present enough to truly experience it while you still had the chance. 16. The more aware you become, the less life controls you. Most people move through life unconsciously. They react emotionally to everything around them without even realizing it. One negative comment ruins their mood. One stressful situation destroys their peace. One disappointment changes the energy of their entire day. Their emotions constantly rise and fall depending on what happens outside them, and because of this, they feel mentally exhausted all the time. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when the mind remains unconscious. An unconscious mind reacts automatically. It becomes controlled by fear, attachment, anger, stress, comparison, and endless emotional impulses. Many people think they are making conscious decisions, but often they are simply reacting based on habits, wounds, insecurities, and emotional conditioning they never fully examined. This is why awareness is so powerful. Awareness changes the way you experience life itself. The more aware you become, the more clearly you begin seeing your thoughts, emotions, and patterns. Instead of being completely controlled by every feeling that appears inside you, you begin observing your inner world with more calmness and understanding. And slowly, life begins losing its power to emotionally dominate you. Many people spend years trapped inside emotional reactions. They become angry instantly. They overthink constantly. They panic easily. They compare themselves endlessly. But Buddhism teaches that awareness creates space between you and your reactions. Instead of immediately becoming consumed by anger, you begin noticing anger arising. Instead of drowning inside fear, you begin observing fear without completely identifying with it. Instead of blindly following every thought, you begin questioning whether the thought even deserves your attention. This changes everything, because most people are not suffering only because of life itself. They are suffering because they are unconscious of how their own mind creates additional pain. A small problem enters the mind and becomes a huge emotional storm through overthinking. One criticism becomes days of self-doubt. One fear becomes endless anxiety about the future. The unconscious mind magnifies suffering constantly, but awareness interrupts this process. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness allows you to become present enough to witness your thoughts instead of automatically becoming controlled by them. Most people think they are their thoughts. They believe every fear, insecurity, and emotional impulse immediately. But thoughts are not always truth. Many thoughts are simply conditioned reactions created by stress, fear, trauma, or past experiences. An unconscious person automatically obeys these thoughts. An aware person learns how to observe them calmly. This creates emotional freedom. Many people destroy their peace because they never learned how to pause before reacting. Life becomes exhausting when every situation immediately controls your emotions. The mind becomes unstable because it depends entirely on external circumstances. But Buddhism teaches inner stability. A deeply aware person understands that external life will always contain uncertainty. There will always be difficult people, stressful situations, disappointment, and change. But awareness changes how you respond to these experiences. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin responding consciously, and this response creates peace. Many people believe power means controlling the outside world, but Buddhism teaches that true power begins with mastering your inner world. A person who cannot control their own mind becomes emotionally controlled by everything around them. One insult controls them. One rejection controls them. One failure controls them. One stressful moment completely changes their emotional state. But awareness changes this relationship. The more aware you become, the less external chaos controls your inner peace. This does not mean you stop feeling emotions. Buddhism does not teach emotional numbness. Emotions are natural. Pain is natural. Difficulty is part of life. But awareness prevents emotions from completely taking over your entire mind. An aware person still feels sadness, but they do not become permanently trapped inside it. They still experience fear, but fear no longer controls every decision. They still face problems, but problems no longer destroy their inner balance completely. This creates emotional strength. Many people think emotional strength means suppressing feelings, But Buddhism teaches something different. Real strength comes from awareness, acceptance, and calm observation. Suppressing emotions only buries suffering deeper inside the mind. Awareness allows emotions to be understood and released more peacefully. This is why meditation is so important in Buddhism. Meditation trains the mind to observe instead of constantly react. Most people are addicted to mental movement. Their mind jumps endlessly from one thought to another without rest. Past regret, future anxiety, comparison, fear, pressure, distraction. The mind never becomes still enough to experience clarity. But through mindfulness and awareness, the mind slowly begins calming down. At first, many people become uncomfortable when they sit quietly with themselves because they suddenly notice how chaotic their thoughts actually are. They realize how much emotional noise has been living inside them for years, but awareness is the beginning of healing. You cannot change patterns you refuse to observe. The moment you become conscious of your emotional habits, transformation begins. You notice how often you seek validation. You notice how easily stress controls your mood. You notice how much overthinking steals your peace. And slowly, you begin changing your relationship with these patterns. Instead of reacting instantly, you pause. Instead of fighting every emotion, you observe it. Instead of mentally collapsing, you breathe and return to the present moment. This creates inner calm. Many people lose years of their life because they never become aware of how much suffering their mind creates automatically. They stay trapped in emotional cycles for decades because unconscious habits feel normal. Some people overthink every situation constantly. Some become emotionally attached to unhealthy relationships. Some continuously seek approval from others. Some carry guilt and regret forever. And because these patterns become familiar, they stop questioning them. But Buddhism teaches that awareness wakes you up from unconscious living. The moment awareness grows, many illusions begin falling apart. You realize you do not need everyone's approval to feel worthy. You realize not every thought deserves belief. You realize peace matters more than endless emotional drama. And through this understanding, your life becomes lighter. Many people are emotionally reactive because they are constantly overstimulated. Endless scrolling, negativity, comparison, and distraction keep the mind restless all the time. A restless mind reacts impulsively because it never becomes quiet enough to think clearly. This is why Buddhism values silence so deeply. Silence creates awareness. Awareness creates clarity. Clarity creates peace. In silence, you begin hearing yourself again beneath all the noise of the world. You notice how much emotional exhaustion came from constantly feeding your mind negativity and distraction. And slowly, you begin protecting your attention more carefully. Because awareness teaches you something powerful. What you repeatedly feed your mind shapes your inner world. If you constantly feed your mind fear, comparison, anger, and stress, your emotional state becomes chaotic. But if you feed your mind presence, mindfulness, gratitude, and calmness, your inner world begins changing too. Many people believe peace is impossible because they have spent years unconsciously training their mind toward anxiety and emotional reactivity. But Buddhism teaches that the mind can be retrained through awareness. A calm mind is built gradually. A peaceful life is built intentionally. This is why daily awareness matters so much. Every moment of mindfulness weakens unconscious suffering. Every moment of presence reconnects you with life itself. Many people also become controlled by attachment because they are unconscious of how deeply attached they are to outcomes, expectations, and external circumstances. They believe happiness depends on life unfolding exactly the way they want. But life constantly changes. People change. Situations change. Plans change. Nothing remains permanent. And when the unconscious mind resists this reality, suffering grows. But awareness creates acceptance. An aware person understands impermanence more deeply. They stop clinging so desperately to every moment, relationship, or expectation. They appreciate life while it is here without trying to control everything endlessly. This creates emotional freedom. Many people think awareness is something small, but awareness completely transforms the quality of your existence. Without awareness, life feels like endless emotional reaction. With awareness, life begins feeling more conscious and peaceful. You stop moving through life blindly. You stop allowing every emotion to dominate you. You stop wasting so much energy fighting temporary situations mentally. Instead, you begin responding with more clarity. And this clarity changes everything. A clear mind sees through unnecessary drama. A clear mind notices when fear is creating false suffering. A clear mind understands what truly matters and what does not. This is why awareness often leads to simplicity. Many people complicate their lives because their mind is constantly chasing more, fearing more, and reacting more. But an aware person begins valuing peace over chaos. They protect their mental energy more carefully. They become intentional about who they spend time with. They stop feeding unnecessary emotional conflict. And because of this awareness, life begins feeling calmer. Many people fear being alone because silence reveals their inner state too clearly. But an aware person no longer needs endless distraction to escape themselves. They become comfortable sitting quietly because they are no longer constantly fighting their own mind. This creates deep inner peace. Buddhism teaches that awakening is not about becoming someone completely different. It is about becoming conscious enough to stop living mechanically. Most people are emotionally asleep. They react automatically. They follow fear automatically. They repeat emotional patterns automatically. But awareness wakes you up. Awareness helps you recognize what truly matters before life passes by. Awareness helps you stop wasting years trapped in unconscious suffering. Awareness helps you reconnect with the present moment instead of endlessly abandoning it. And perhaps most importantly, awareness helps you understand that real peace was never hiding somewhere outside you. It begins inside the way you observe, understand, and respond to life itself. Because the more aware you become, the less life controls you emotionally. And the less life controls you emotionally, the more peaceful, free, and deeply alive you finally become. 17. One day, none of this pressure will matter, so stop destroying yourself over it. Many people spend their entire lives carrying pressure that slowly destroys their peace. Pressure to succeed, pressure to prove themselves, pressure to keep up with everyone around them. Pressure to become perfect, productive, successful, attractive, emotionally strong, and constantly improving every second of their life. Over time, this endless pressure becomes so normal that people forget what it feels like to truly relax inside their own mind. Buddhism teaches that much of human suffering comes from attachment and mental resistance. The mind becomes obsessed with reaching some future version of life where everything finally feels complete. Because of this, people constantly push themselves emotionally, mentally, and physically while ignoring the damage happening inside them. Many people wake up every day already feeling behind in life. They compare themselves to others constantly. They feel guilty whenever they rest. They feel anxious about the future. They fear failure so deeply that even peaceful moments become difficult to enjoy. And slowly, life becomes more about surviving pressure than actually living. But Buddhism teaches something most people forget. One day, most of the things currently stressing you will no longer matter at all. The problems consuming your mind right now will eventually disappear. The pressure you feel today will fade. The opinions you fear will become meaningless. Even your current version of life will someday exist only as memory. Yet many people continue sacrificing their peace for temporary things. They destroy their mental health, trying to meet unrealistic expectations. They spend years chasing validation from people who do not truly care about them. They carry endless anxiety about outcomes they cannot fully control, and because of this, they lose touch with the present moment completely. Buddhism teaches impermanence because understanding impermanence changes your relationship with stress. It reminds you that everything changes constantly. Difficult moments pass, fear changes, circumstances shift. Nothing remains permanent forever. At first, this truth can feel uncomfortable because the mind wants certainty and control. But eventually, impermanence becomes freeing. Because once you truly understand that life is temporary, you stop treating every stressful situation like the end of the world. You realize how much energy you wasted worrying about things that eventually faded away anyway. Many people mentally suffer over imagined futures that never even happen. The mind creates worst-case scenarios constantly. It imagines failure, rejection, embarrassment, disappointment, and loss over and over again until anxiety becomes a permanent emotional state. But most of the suffering exists only inside the mind itself. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness helps you see how often your own thinking creates unnecessary pain. The mind keeps projecting fear into the future while ignoring the present moment completely. Some people cannot even enjoy peaceful days because they are too busy worrying about tomorrow. They ruin today mentally trying to prepare for problems that may never arrive. And slowly, life passes by while they remain trapped inside pressure. Many people also attach their entire self-worth to achievement. They believe they are only valuable when they are succeeding, producing, or constantly accomplishing something. Because of this, they feel guilty whenever they slow down. Rest feels unproductive, peace feels lazy, stillness feels uncomfortable, but Buddhism teaches balance. Human beings were never meant to exist in endless survival mode. You were not born only to stress endlessly. You were not born only to constantly prove yourself. You were not born only to emotionally exhaust yourself chasing external validation. You were also meant to experience life, to feel peace, to breathe deeply, to appreciate moments while they still exist. But pressure blinds many people to this truth. They become so focused on reaching future goals that they completely miss the life happening directly in front of them. They sacrifice their mental health, relationships, peace, and emotional well-being, believing happiness will finally arrive after achieving enough. But the mind always wants more. One achievement leads to another. One goal creates another pressure. One fear gets replaced by a new fear. And because of this endless cycle, many people remain emotionally restless their entire life. Buddhism teaches that peace cannot grow inside a constantly pressured mind. A restless mind keeps chasing endlessly because it believes fulfillment exists somewhere outside itself. But real peace begins when you stop allowing pressure to control your entire existence. This does not mean giving up ambition. It means refusing to destroy yourself mentally while pursuing life. Many people become so emotionally attached to success that failure feels like the end of their identity. One mistake completely crushes their confidence. One rejection feels unbearable. But Buddhism teaches non-attachment because attachment creates suffering. An aware person understands that failure is temporary, embarrassment is temporary, stress is temporary. Even painful seasons of life eventually pass. This understanding creates emotional freedom. When you stop attaching your entire worth to outcomes, life becomes lighter. You still work hard, you still grow, you still pursue meaningful goals. But your peace no longer completely depends on external results. This is true inner strength. Many people also suffer because they constantly compare their life to everyone else. Social media has intensified this deeply. People see the success, beauty, relationships, and achievements of others all day long, and slowly they begin feeling inadequate. They feel behind, not successful enough, not attractive enough, not accomplished enough. And because comparison never ends, the pressure inside the mind keeps growing. But Buddhism teaches that comparison destroys inner peace because it disconnects you from your own journey. A person who constantly compares themselves to others can never fully appreciate their present life. The mind becomes obsessed with lacking instead of appreciating. This creates endless dissatisfaction. An aware person understands that every human being has different struggles, timing, pain, and life paths. Comparing your internal struggles to someone else's external image only creates suffering. Peace begins when you stop measuring your worth against everyone around you. Many people are also secretly carrying the pressure of trying to control life perfectly. They want certainty in everything, certainty in relationships, certainty in the future, certainty in outcomes. But life itself is uncertain. People change, situations change, plans change. Nothing remains completely stable forever. Buddhism teaches acceptance because fighting uncertainty endlessly only exhausts the mind. A peaceful person understands they cannot control everything. They stop mentally resisting reality every second. They stop believing they must carry the weight of the entire future inside their mind constantly. And because of this awareness, they begin living more lightly. Many people lose years of their life because they believe pressure is necessary for success. But endless emotional pressure often destroys creativity, peace, relationships, and inner clarity. A constantly stressed mind cannot fully experience life deeply. This is why mindfulness matters so much. Mindfulness pulls you out of future anxiety and reconnects you with the present moment. It reminds you that life is happening now, not only in some imagined future after everything becomes perfect. Most people postpone peace. They say, "I'll relax later. I'll be happy after this. I'll finally enjoy life once everything is fixed." But later keeps moving further away. Meanwhile, life quietly passes by. One day, many people suddenly realize they spent more time worrying about life than actually living it. They spent years stressed about things that no longer even matter, years trying to impress people they no longer speak to, years emotionally exhausted over temporary problems, and this realization becomes painful. Buddhism teaches awareness now, so regret does not become your teacher later. Wake up before pressure steals your entire life. Wake up before stress becomes your permanent identity. Wake up before your spirit becomes completely exhausted. Because life is too short to spend every day mentally overwhelmed. This does not mean problems disappear completely. Every human being faces difficulty, but awareness changes your relationship with difficulty. An aware person no longer treats every stressful moment like permanent disaster. They stop feeding fear constantly. They stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. And because of this, their inner world becomes calmer. Many people believe peace will make them weak, but Buddhism teaches the opposite. A calm mind thinks more clearly. A peaceful heart responds more wisely. Inner balance creates emotional resilience. Stress constantly clouds the mind. Fear constantly distorts reality. Pressure constantly steals presence. But awareness restores clarity. Many people do not realize how much beauty they are missing because they are trapped inside pressure constantly. They miss quiet moments, they miss connection, they miss gratitude, they miss life itself. Their mind is always racing toward the next problem, the next responsibility, the next fear. But one day, all those pressures will disappear anyway. The deadlines, the expectations, the opinions, the stress, all temporary. And when life finally reaches its final chapter, very few people wish they had worried more. Most people simply wish they had lived more peacefully. They wish they appreciated moments more deeply. They wish they slowed down more often. They wish they protected their mental health instead of constantly sacrificing it. This is why Buddhism teaches presence so deeply. Presence reminds you that this breath matters. This day matters. This moment matters, and no amount of future pressure is worth completely losing connection with your own life. Many people are surviving, but not truly living. They are emotionally overwhelmed all the time because they forgot that peace matters too. But peace is not weakness. Peace is wisdom. Peace allows you to think clearly. Peace allows you to experience life more deeply. Peace allows your spirit to rest. And one day you will realize that most of the pressure that once controlled your mind so deeply was temporary all along. But the years you spent emotionally consumed by it cannot be returned. So stop destroying yourself over things that will eventually fade away. Stop carrying endless pressure like your soul was built to suffer forever. Stop postponing your peace until some imaginary perfect future arrives. Slow down, breathe deeply, protect your mind, protect your spirit, because life moves quickly. Time disappears quietly, and one day you will understand that inner peace was always more important than the endless pressure you spent your whole life carrying. One day your life will come to an end. Your body will grow still, your worries will disappear, and all the pressure, fear, overthinking, and emotional chaos you carried for years will no longer matter. Buddhism teaches that life is temporary, fragile, and constantly changing. Yet most people live as if they have endless time. They postpone happiness, ignore their inner peace, and spend years mentally trapped inside stress, fear, distraction, and emotional exhaustion. But the truth is simple. You could leave this world at any moment. And once you truly understand this, the way you live begins to change. You stop wasting your energy trying to impress everyone. You stop carrying emotional weight that destroys your peace. You stop postponing your happiness for a future that is never guaranteed. Instead, you begin waking up to the present moment. You begin appreciating ordinary moments more deeply. You begin protecting your peace more seriously. You begin understanding that your time, attention, and inner calm are some of the most valuable things you possess. Buddhism teaches that suffering often comes from unconscious living. The mind becomes trapped in the past, afraid of the future, attached to expectations, addicted to pressure, and emotionally controlled by temporary situations. But awareness changes everything. The more aware you become, the more peacefully you begin living. The more present you become, the more meaningful life begins to feel. The more you let go of unnecessary mental suffering, the lighter your spirit becomes. Life was never meant to be lived entirely inside fear and overthinking. You were also meant to experience peace, to feel gratitude, to love deeply, to enjoy simple moments, to become fully alive before time quietly disappears. Because one day, this version of your life will no longer exist. The people around you will change. These moments will become memories, and the years you spent emotionally absent can never be returned. So stop waiting for the perfect moment to finally live. Stop sacrificing your peace for things that do not truly matter. Stop treating your life casually as if you have forever. Slow down. Breathe deeply. Protect your inner world. Be present while life is still happening. Because the greatest tragedy is not death itself. The greatest tragedy is reaching the end of life and realizing you were never fully awake enough to truly experience the precious life you were given.